Do you remember your last sight, like what you saw before you went under?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I mean, one of the hardest moments was when I was obviously that day in the hospital, and all the nurses and doctors obviously knew me at that point from being in and out of the hospital for 12 years, and so we were all crying just because, again, I mean, it was real personal for everyone. I remember like the nurse, she had the IV in me or whatever, and I remember she telling me basically, just tell me when you're ready, and I'll give you the propofol, to put you out. But at that moment, it's like it was the hardest thing, because I'm like, what am I supposed to say? I'm ready. It wasn't like necessarily. It's like, okay, I know I'm good.
And who's ready at age 12 for something like that, let alone any age?
Yeah. No, I mean, it was tough, and I remember seeing my parents' faces and just the anguish in their faces, and it was a sad moment. But the crazy thing is, I mean, I do remember waking up from that surgery, and I'm sure, I mean, I was definitely had some drugs in my system, but I do remember just kind of being a burden off my shoulder and back, in the sense that, I really wasn't leading up to the surgery was so much of this anxiety of me losing my sight and never being able to see again, that once that kind of reality set in right after I woke up, it was kind of like, okay, this is my new reality. I'm gonna have to live with it. So, let's start, again, not to be cliche, but fighting on, and keep moving forward, and not, forfeiting my life to my circumstances.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. You're 12, you're going to the hospital, you know that they're going to put you under, you're going to wake up and you're not going to be able to see, and you're looking at your parents. But from your parents' perspective, this is the last time you see them. I mean, I can't process how that had to be so difficult for them. Like, you would kind of, all right, I understand it. This is what it is. There'll be a relief on the other end. But mom and dad, I just can't imagine how much pain they must have felt.
To be honest, Dan, I can't either, and I really don't want to. I mean, that's just like another side of it. And I obviously don't have children, but I mean, it's just like for anyone who does, man, that's another side to it. That, to be honest, they're very strong individuals, and I try to do things in my life that makes them proud, and kind of gives them another life with me that, besides the first 12 years, that they can be proud and happy with. And I mean, obviously they're proud and happy with me throughout all those years, but I'm just saying, I definitely don't want to imagine it like you're saying.
Yeah, that's a good story there. I just, when you're a parent, then these stories affect you differently. That if your child, and you're taking your child, he's 12, and you're taking him to the hospital, and when he leaves the hospital, he probably will never see again. I just can't imagine what the parents, because you're helpless. Like, Jake has to get in his head, I got to fight now. Now the fight begins, and, I don't want your sympathy. I got to do this. I got to survive. I got to live my life. But as parents, you're just watching. And there's so many times that you go in when your child is in surgery, sick, and you can't do anything about it. And if you've ever been in there, and those moments when all of a sudden there's something serious with your child, they've broken a leg or an arm. I've gone through those visits, and you can't do anything about it. You could just be there. And then you realize, if you've instilled that toughness, as Jake, his parents did a wonderful job. You can tell that. But just to be there, knowing that your child, when he closes his eyes, when they put him under, and he wakes up, he may open his eyes, but he's not seeing you ever again. And then you start to look at all the things that will happen in your life. When he gets married, when you have your first child, and for him to be able to feel the child, hold the child, but not see the child. And those are all the things that went through my mind when I first heard about Jake. And it's not just Jake, but his story was brought to our attention. There's so many other people who don't have the means, didn't get to go to USC, didn't get to get on national TV, but he wants to give back, raising awareness for this disease that took his eyesight. So good for him.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.